Well, hello there and welcome to the candy-wallpapered upstairs hallway of the dollhouse for another reading and quasi-comprehensive commentary on The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Used Elfers for December 29th, the day of preeminence, or in another way of saying, a quality of superiority or being notable above all others. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of preeminence. So we have us an image of, what could it be? Well, boom, it's some old-timey, globe maps, I suppose. And they're kind of turned jaunty-like on their sides there. Now, is that a adequate representation of the day of preeminence? Hey, who's to say? But maybe we'll make some kind of connotations for as much as we get on with the read. That being said, not altogether all too important, the visual representational image, but what is important is it's December 29th, and hence it's somebody's birthday. So what's important around these here parts is wishing you a happy birthday, assuming it's your birthday. That being said, a lot of times these videos find people late, and if that happens to be the case, I just want to say I hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. Now, other times people join us randomly or more ideally to celebrate the December 29th birthday, and if that's the case, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before I dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts, and that's roll some dice. That's right. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake there, but I do so more importantly for synchronicity's sake. And I just kind of dropped these. Let's give it a real roll here. Yeah, that sounds better. Oh, and I rolled us some doubles. Oh, straight to jail. That's right. Rolled some doubles yesterday too, but that was a 3 and a 3. This is a 4 and a 4 for an 8. Now, what is synchronicity, you're probably wondering? Well, my friends, a lot of times we get out in the world going after the job or just errands in general, and we're very narrow or laser focused. We got the blinders on to what's kind of going on around us. And I've often heard it said that the universe will put things down in our path to help us realize our goals or our aspirations. And so, I'd say this is an exercise in helping us take off those blinders. Somebody might mention a car or some, innocuous object, and we start seeing them everywhere. This is kind of that, getting the blinders off. Because, it might seem like they're just popping up all of a sudden, but the reality is they were always there. So, you don't necessarily have to go with the numbers that I rolled for you, but it's probably ideal you take your own set of dice, because the idea of this exercise is to have a kind of communication, a mutually agreed upon sign, if you like, with the universe. Something that we can't miss, all right? Ostensibly, anyhow. Something we'll be on the lookout for. Now, that said, you take your own set of dice, ascribe directional values, time limits to as much to help you kind of be even further in line with where the universe may want you to go. That being said, you get off, decide where to start from. Maybe the town square, if you like, and you start off. But that being said, get those blinders off, all right? You want to start soaking up everything like a sponge, because you never know, the day might start to take on a theme. Who's to say you might start seeing globes everywhere, some jaunty, tilted globes? I don't know, but you got to be open to whatever might be presenting there. So let's say you start off from the town square, you get your first directional value, your first time limit, and you set off. And maybe at the very end of that time limit, you find yourself, standing in front of an alley, and you're looking around, you're not necessarily seeing anything out of the ordinary. But who's to say, maybe you're standing there right in front of, one of them drug dealers. Oh, very well could be. So, you're not trying to pay too much mind. You're going about your own business there. But that's where the universe wanted you to stop. So you stop, roll your dice, you pick them up, and maybe the drug dealer stands there and he goes, what do you want? You go, hey, I'm not here for that. I'm just getting my numbers, my time values here to see, and my directional values just to see where I'm going next. And he's like, what are you talking about? So maybe you show him this video. That's right. Just be open, be clear about what you're doing. Maybe not on the market for some of the illicit substances, but you're here to see, taste, touch, and smell, maybe taste, hear another kind of magic. And you show him this video and the guy's like, that's crazy. What are you, a cop? Tell him the truth. No, I'm not a cop. This is what I'm really here for. This is the video I just showed you. Maybe you are a cop, or maybe you tell me, yeah, I am, but I'm off duty. who's to say? And it would be pretty ironic if this just happened to be the same case. They watch this video and they're talking about a drug dealer and all, but irony aside, maybe this person just goes, you know what? I'm kind of done for the day dealing my drugs, as it were, though they're probably not going to put it in those terms. Let me show you around. And I know you got the universal numbers going on and all that, but you know what? Hey, the universe puts you right in this person's path. So I don't know, maybe see where they take you. So maybe they join you. Hey, okay, where's the first value? Where's the first time limit take us? They go to, the corner of some building that's up front, up ahead. Maybe it just so happens to be on a 44th Avenue. Who's to say? Maybe it's a boulevard. I don't know. But maybe the person point out something that happened there. Maybe a nice, cool drug deal that went down. And, maybe somebody got shot. I don't know. And if you're an undercover cop, hey, maybe you know all about that happenstance there. That's just it. Then, I don't know. Maybe you take out your time value, go for another one. It takes you somewhere else, and he can tell you exactly what went down there, too. And it's just a day of stories. Maybe you've got your own. I know you're on opposite sides of the law if you happen to be a cop in this instance, but you know what? Maybe you can find a certain kind of camaraderie, right? Maybe at the end of the day, he just so happens to turn into a new CI for you there. I don't know, but you know what? I think you get the idea. Your synchronicity there. It can happen in all sorts of ways. And what's funny is this is the very first thing. You're probably ascribing all the interesting things that happen to the drug dealer, right? But you know what? The universe puts you right in his path. So I would say that's a great instance. Like, you might not have even noticed it first. I'm giving it all to this guy. But you know what? He put you right in line to meet that individual and take you on with an interesting day. I think you get the idea. So let's dive in with your birthday read. All right. Your month is December. Your day, the 29th. Your sign is 6 to 9 degrees Capricorn of the Capricorn I period specifically. And your quality and element is Cardinal Earth. All right. December 29th, the day of preeminence, or if you remember, quality of superiority, or maybe some notable being ahead of all others. All right. Those born on December 29th are often destined to play a leading role in life around them. And although they may not desire to be a boss, somehow they are chosen by fate to occupy positions of responsibility. And those born on this day who are suited for leadership roles can function in an executive post year after year in a steady fashion. And those who are may one day find the apple cart upset and themselves unceremoniously toppled. That didn't sound quite right, did it? Those who are not may one day find the apple cart upset and themselves unceremoniously toppled. Got it right that time. All right. Again, it should be emphasized that December 29 people are not in general overly ambitious, but have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. The question which only they can answer is whether they wish to accept the opportunities offered them. In order to make such choices, they will have to devote time to understanding themselves better and making a realistic assessment of their true talents and abilities. Some born on this day may find themselves more comfortable playing a supporting role, yet close to another power source. Such December 29 people have an ability to fit into work and social activities and do the politically correct thing. It is crucial that they cultivate tact and diplomacy. However, for such qualities do not come naturally to many born on this day. Furthermore, December 29 people must beware of attracting the suspicion of others concerning supposed misdeeds which they, in fact, have never committed. Their vulnerability in this area may derive from their own oversight or even, ignorance, but arrogance is the word. Oversight or even arrogance. Those born on this day must be sure of their motives before acting, and not allow expediency to direct their course. December 29 people have a low-key sense of humor, which is not always noticed or appreciated. They may give the impression of being overly serious, but in fact are at heart ironic. And when those when those born on this day choose to exercise their talent for communication, they can hold audiences spellbound, whether it be family, friends, or a wider group of listeners. And perhaps it is their physical presence or their sonority of their voice that keeps attention riveted on them. And many born on this day have a subdued but potent aggressiveness, which makes others take notice out of a mixture of fear and fascination. The greatest challenge for December 29 people is quite simply to live up to their position of preeminence in their family, social circle, or field of endeavor. They must, however, avoid locking themselves into a fixed notion of how they may function in such a role, and never exclude the possibility that they may one day wish to relinquish their responsibility, hopefully free of rancor or guilt. All right, how about that for a pretty interesting dynamic birthday breakdown? A little bit narrow of focus, but within that focus they expanded quite a bit in scope. That said, I had pretty much, butchered the read there, but you know what, I was having fun with it, so hopefully you were too. That said, I like to provide a little bit of a commentary on what we've just read, perhaps make some connections, connotations with days previous or the period in general. So let's see what I have to say. See if we can do some more butchering. All right, let's get into it. All right, December 29, the day of preeminence. All right, you're often destined to play a leading role in the goings-on in the world around you. You're somehow also chosen, as if by fate, to occupy positions of responsibility. And if you're not generally the over-ambitious sort, this may not be something you necessarily intentionally ask for from the way I read the breakdown. Perhaps just going through the motions for you works out in that, as they said, right place, right time kind of phenomena that I saw mentioned there. And I was working down the breakdown line by line, as I often do, and I kind of came to that conclusion before they got to it, so I found that a little bit interesting. So that's why the tone of the writing sounds kind of like I discovered it. Sometimes I do. But this element of finding comfort in playing a supporting role to someone else in a power role, it immediately upends that whole leadership dynamic. And I didn't anticipate that myself. That having been said, many of the people that get mentioned being born on these respective days, they're often only defined by those who they are married to or who they're partnered up with. And I find that a little bit disenchanting. It's like, wow, why is that the only thing they're remembered for? That being said, that kind of happened to you here, directly mentioned as much. And having said that, it's not only is that just kind of a short change, I like to think that it's not necessarily the case insofar as who's to say what decisions that person who's famous made on their own. I mean, how were you, or how was someone like you potentially helping them make those decisions or providing the support they needed to make those decisions? Often we give a lot of the credit to just that single sole person, but who's to say what was going on in the background? It might very well be that they needed the support of their partner, and that's why they were as instrumental as they were. So it's not just that you're remembered for who you were supporting, it's kind of you're remembered for what you were doing to provide that support. At least I like to think of it in that way. And I think the breakdown kind of said as much. All right, let's see if I can get back on track here. The reading recommends cultivating tact and diplomacy. Confusingly, you apparently have the ability, but not the natural inclination for as much. And that probably didn't come through very coherently because I kind of butchered that part of the read, but that was kind of what they said, confusingly. But I love this having to beware attracting suspicion of misdeeds that you didn't commit. I don't think that's ever come up before, and it's interesting that that pops up for you here. No telling why they drilled down on that, but maybe it's just something they found interesting. Or perhaps they've noticed that a lot of people that were born on this particular day, maybe they were accused of something they didn't do, and it seemed to be a little bit of a through line. So maybe that's why it presented. I just didn't expect this kind of interesting dynamic. But with the power and responsibility that comes with a whole host of baked-in tripping hazards, I would assume, at least with power there. Maybe I guess that could be sort of resentment or jealousy based on being in a leadership role. Maybe that's what brings all that up. But regardless, the readings mention of arrogance or oversight in that regard. But maybe that kind of stuff lends to it too. I just didn't necessarily see that in the breakdown, so I couldn't really drill down on making that kind of connotation with it. But speaking more to personality, the reading claims at heart you're ironic and you have a low-key sense of humor. And that others may not pick up on specifically, which I kind of admire, especially if the joke is good and nobody seems to get it, or if you're doing it just for yourself, all right? It's kind of like now you have this inside joke that only you get amusement from. And maybe down the line you tell the story, because I said you're great at captivating an audience, right? With your sonority, and which that means an impressive kind of speech, or also a deep, rich sound. For a self-referential college word that you should appreciate if, in fact, you're at heart ironic, right? But that being said, I'm kind of deviating here. You have your own personal joke. And if you're captivating an audience, maybe you can tell the story that, hey, I said this one thing, nobody got it. Or maybe you did this little practical joke kind of thing, nobody understood it. And you're like, it's just for me anyway, right? So, and then you can captivate with that interesting story. I'm probably getting off, but that's why I would appreciate it. Because I know somebody who's done a few things like that. And it's just interesting to think like, wow, you get off on that kind of thing, or you pulled that off, and then you just always think about that and and that's why you're having a little secret laugh when somebody mentions this thing or that. So like I said, I can appreciate it for that respect. So hopefully that makes sense to you there. But you're also capable of leaving audiences spellbound, like we said, and you're very deft at your communication. You have a physical presence that takes note there. And you also have a potent aggressiveness, it's said, that others notice and they may fear and have fascination with as much. All told, like I said, somewhat rather narrowly focused breakdown. They focused on like one particular aspect and expanded from there. But they had the pitfalls and also solutions for as much. And so in that regard, I think it was pretty well rounded within that scope. That being said, that's been the breakdown of what I had to say about it. Got a little off script, off copy there, put some things that were coming up later before, but I think I got to everything. So let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right, those born on the 29th of the month are ruled by the number 2, as 2 plus 9 equals 11 and 1 plus 1 equals 2. And by the moon, all right? Those ruled by the number 2 often make good co-workers and partners rather than leaders. So December 29 people may experience a measure of stress when occupying positions of authority. Though the moon's influence strengthens their sense of cooperation and team play, it may also act as a brake on individual initiative and action. The secondary number 11, 2 plus 9 equals 11, lends a feeling for the physical plane as well as a possible interest in double occurrences and replicate phenomena. It was not intended, folks. A strong connection between the moon and Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, can indicate profundity, but also bluntness and sometimes self-pity. I don't know if me raising the dice up when they said numbers got into frame, but that's what I was referencing there. All right, so your numbers and planets there. What did I have to say about those? All right, let's turn the page and get to it. Get back into the notes. The number 2 in the moon for a good coworker, partner, what do we got? Dynamic rather than leadership, all right? And perhaps today, more than any other moon-ruled day, they examine this sometimes seeming knock of an influence, all right? I always have a hard time trying to find something of note to say, something of value to say about the leadership or partner dynamic versus the leadership strength there. Because there's a certain baked in seeming weakness that is kind of ascribed to people without the propensity to lead, I would say. It's probably not the case, but you know what? I think that's kind of where what we take from that in society. And here they relate that you may actually have a predisposition to naturally flow into leadership positions. So it's not that you don't have the capacity for as much. You just may not otherwise flourish in said capacity as well as you do in the other spectrum there. But warnings of the moon acting as a brake on your individual initiative and action are warned to be mindful of, and if you lean in on the supportive team player dynamic. Not much said with regard to the constrictive planet Saturn's influence other than bluntness, self-pity, and profundity, or great intellectual insight. And if you didn't know what profundity meant, I always have to look it up because I keep forgetting. But Saturn often causes great frustration in other days, considering its dark and cold, fatal force that's ascribed to it. But it also imparts structure, authority, and strong personal values, otherwise speaking to an intrinsic conflict with things that venture outside of conservative leanings, at least by my interpretation. So a lot of times there's people just dealing with suffering and frustration, and it's usually kind of leading back to Saturn if you're looking at an astrological kind of bent. So if you're dealing with any of that, hey, that might just be the culprit. That being said, that's what I'd say about the moon. And then number 2, your numbers and planets, if you like. Let's move on to your tarot. That's right, the old tarot, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, even though it's not all that new. But hey, it's here in the book, it's your birthday, we're expanding our horizons, right? Let's see what it has to say. A lot of times we can make some connotations with other things. So let's dive in. The second card of the major arcana is the Priestess, shown seated on her throne, calm and impenetrable. She is a spiritual woman who reveals hidden forces and secrets, empowering those who heed her with that knowledge. Favorable qualities of this card are silence, intuition, reserve, and discretion. Negative traits are secretiveness, mistrust, and inertia. All right. This one was a bit of a copy-paste job here, and not just a bit, complete. But sometimes when they personalize the numbers and planets, that's the trade-off. And usually when they personalize the tarot, there's not too much of note. It's just a warning of things to look out for or be mindful of. But what did I have to say? I think I wrote quite a bit. So let's retread a little bit to provide the context and get into it. The Priestess, the calm spiritual woman who reveals hidden forces and secrets and who empowers others that heed her knowledge, which I'd say dovetails very nicely with your supportive capacity or even your leadership, though it sounds as though folks are more apt to be open to as much in a supportive role, considering the attracting suspicion there when in a leadership role angle that was mentioned in the breakdown. Silence, intuition, reserve, and discretion also seem in line, considering you're seen to be overly serious on occasion or low-key funny, and by my mind, of a depth that you don't showcase for its own sake. All right, maybe a little bit of that conservative nature imparted by Saturn, if you believe in that kind of thing. You also don't relate your secrets or your knowledge unless it's merited. All right, so just beware of mistrust and inertia. Always be moving lest you stagnate. The old inertia being like if you sit too long, you're gonna plant, right? You need a little bit of force to keep moving. That's right. Don't let your weight hold you down, figurative or literal. So that being said, that's what I'd say about your tarot. So let's move on to your health. All right, your health. Those born on December 29 may be prone to nursing private resentments or internalized failures. Consequently, they must beware of turning to alcohol or any other highly addictive drugs for solace. And those born on this day may be prone to debilitating chronic ailments affecting their internal organs or circulatory / skeletal systems. And at the first indication of such difficulties, they should seek treatment with a trusted and competent physician, homeopath, chiropractor, or physiotherapist. And as far as diet is concerned, December 29 people should in general use food to make them feel good and stimulate their will to win. Learning to cook a wide variety of tasty dishes can do wonders for their sense of well-being. Where exercise is concerned, vigorous athletic workouts once or twice a week are strongly recommended. Well, all right, what I have to say about your health here. Let's dive in. Prone to private resentments and internal failures, it says. Interesting. It sounds like Saturn by my ear. Let's see here. Beware of turning to escapist drugs and methods for solace. All right. So, you know what? Just be careful that you don't get into the temptation if you meet that drug dealer there. Cop or not. Let's see what else we got here. A common through line for Capricorns also on occasion. Turn into escapist methods for solace. Also, some of the later period Sagittarius folks. Also mind your bones, your internal organs. Your veins get mentioned a lot too, but not here. Bones being a Capricorn body area. I don't know if it was mentioned that the veins are as well, but as often as they're brought up this period, they probably are. No specific diet other than foods that make you feel good. And surprisingly, that comes up quite often in this period here also. Let's see here. Same for the cooking and the expanding your culinary abilities there. Surprisingly, this is like the only period that's ever come up, so maybe take note. Vigorous exercise once or twice a week, it said. This is a little bit surprising as this period they've also drilled down more on the regularity of exercise, when to schedule it, versus more specifics about like what kind to do. Like yesterday, they said to do it with aggression, some kind of aggressive exercise, to kind of buck their trends. And for you, you got vigorous, hopefully to maybe get you moving, not, so that inertia doesn't take hold. Or to get rid of any pent-up aggression, perhaps from the frustration of Saturn, or just dealing with leadership in general, or feeling like you don't get enough credit for being in a supportive role. Who's to say? But that's what they said. Vigorous exercise. That being said, that has been your health. So let's move on to some advice. All right, some advice. Have the courage to lead, but also to compromise and admit your mistakes. Just walk away and begin over when necessary. And fulfill the opportunities you have been given by living up to your potential. All right, pretty quick in and out there, and rather simplistic. Sometimes it's not so simplistic, but I'd say there's a lot of value in there. So let's see what I had to say here. I had to write it in the book, ran out of space on the page. All right, lean into leading, it said, all right, and also compromise. So don't let personal reservations hold you back. That is, if they exist, all right, and they made it sound as though it's a tricky dynamic for you. Maybe hints of imposter syndrome. I don't know. Maybe you're in a leadership position you don't feel like you deserve it. Perhaps. Who's to say? That being said, a lot of people experience that, so don't let it get you down. It's normal, I would say, if that's something you're experiencing. Walk away if necessary, they said, which is a funny inclusion by my mind, insofar as when this kind of thing usually presents, the walking away aspect, it's the opposite. They're saying don't walk away. And it's usually, I think, because people are too quick to do so. But, oftentimes some folks, they're too dedicated. They're not going to walk away when it's necessary. So, walk away when it's necessary. All right, what else do we have here? Maybe make more measured decisions. That's right. You're just not taking enough time to consider things. I don't know. In either instance, just don't go on your first instinct, perhaps. Sometimes people are too quick to knee-jerk into their reactions, especially the more emotional folks that have come up in this period. Make measured decisions. All right, what else do we have here? Live up to your potential and fulfill opportunities, it said. Smacks of walking away. I don't know. We're back and forth here. But I think it speaks more to reservations you may have with decisions you may have to make within your respective role, whatever that may be. Whatever the case, remember inertia, okay? Don't stagnate with inaction. Also, analysis paralysis. Yeah, you want to always be moving so you're not getting mired in your own, what do you call it, analysis of things. Measured decisions, again, for sure. But always be moving and acting, and it might be a callback to private resentments and internalized failures that they were mentioning here. So I would say use them as fuel, not as a fear, all right? And sometimes you can use your fears as fuel too. Oh, I'm going to get over those things. That's right. And so just always be acting, I would say, to some extent. But be measured with your decisions. That's right. And learn to walk away. Just a whole bunch of contradictions that was in there. All right. At least maybe that's, as I was adding to it, became contradictions. Who's to say? All right. That being said, that's been your advice. Let's take the energy down just a hair and move on to your meditation. That's right. It's your birthday. You get a meditation. Something to think on, if you like. The leader is usually the one out front. Okay, and once more. The leader is usually the one out front. All right, that's your meditation. It's your birthday. I'm not going to put some interpretation into it or spin on it for you. It's just for you, and it wouldn't do you a whole lot of good if I told you why I thought it was good. So that's just for you. All right, but your meditation in the can, as it were. Let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Let's hold up the objective mirror, see where we got the ostensible bulk, and maybe where we're otherwise atrophied. That's right. Your strengths and your weaknesses. Your strengths, you're interesting. All right. You're communicative, and you're commanding. Oh, I like that one. Interesting, too, I think is the first time that one's popped up. But your weaknesses. Oh, let's hold up the objective mirror, but flip it to the side that blows up your face, shows off all the things you might be insecure about. Like those pock marks from when you was picking your chicken pox scabs as a child, even though your parents told you not to. And they're going to carry forward. And you're like, I don't care. They itch, right? Yeah, that's right. Your weaknesses. Those are superficial ones anyway. Your weaknesses, you're self-unaware, you're careless, and you're undiplomatic. Oh, very interesting. All right. Hey, I would say we kind of knew some of these already. At least they were gone over to some extent, maybe with a broad brush in the breakdown. But that said, I would think, I don't know, your weaknesses aren't altogether that bad, I would say. And in a lot of cases, I would say your strengths are going to help you get over them, if you even need to. I would say sometimes our weaknesses are even strengths, depending upon the situation. Self-unaware. I don't know how many folks I've met that are self-unaware, and they breeze through life. It's without a care in the world, and you know what? It's like everything else falls on everybody else, but they seem to get through it unscathed somehow. And I don't know, maybe that's something about that right place, right time. Maybe it's not a strength, but it's a kind of luck to some extent, maybe. And you know what? Weaknesses, too, they make us who we are. So I would say let's not get rid of them altogether. But if you do need to take them back a little bit, I think your strengths are going to get you through it. Specifically being commanding. And if you're communicative, you know what? That is sorely lacking in so many respects. And it's going to help you get things out there, voice things in ways that other people are going to understand. And maybe help you get through it yourself there. The old psychology, the talk therapy there, even if it's just with a friend. Help you get down to the root even faster than people who don't know how to communicate, like myself. But that being said, your strengths and weaknesses having been relayed, let's move on to those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, something I like to do is not only see who shares your company, but segue into focusing on figuring out our passions. Because too often I get out in the world and meet folks and ask them what they do. And more importantly, if they like it. And a lot of times they don't. But I think it's perfectly understandable. It's just to get out of school and get right into a job so you can make ends meet. You don't have a lot of time to put into work to figure out not only what our passions are, but kind of like what we like to do, right? And so I think this is the perfect opportunity to not only see who was born on this day and what got him in the book, but maybe take some inspiration from what they did, and maybe append it to what we're doing, or at least start thinking about figuring out our passions, assuming you don't already have one. Because I think it's important that we're getting up out of bed, eager to get on with our day, right? And getting something fulfilling out of life, doing something that helps us realize that. And maybe you're already doing that, but you just don't know how to make it financially viable. Maybe just me putting the bug in your ear about all this is going to help you stir up the fires, get back on track with that, figure out a way to do it, or just help you drum up an inspiration to get on with your passions. I think you get the idea. So let's dive in with those born on this day. We have Pablo Casals, a Spanish master cellist and a conductor. We also have William Ewart Gladstone, a Victorian four-time Liberal Prime Minister and a Disraeli opponent, and said, "I will back the masses against the classes," and introduced Home Rule for Ireland. We also have Andrew Johnson, the U.S. President, Vice President who succeeded Lincoln, purchase of Alaska, impeached on purely political charges, but acquitted. We also have Tom Bradley, Los Angeles mayor and police chief. Mary Tyler Moore, the film and TV actress of the Mary Tyler Moore Show fame. John Voight, the film and stage actor. Marianne Faithfull, a pop folk singer, songwriter, and overcame a heroin addiction to make a post-punk comeback. We also have Ted Danson, the stage, film, TV actor of Cheers fame, also a producer. Lafayette Pinkay Jr., a jockey, a five-time Eclipse winner, second in career wins, it says, of Kentucky Derby, and three-time Belmont winner. We also have Jim Murray, a Los Angeles Times sports columnist, and a 14-time Sports Writer of the Year. We also have Gilsey Kirkland, ballet dancer, Madame de Pompadour, a French mistress of Louis XV, a politician, and an influential courtier, it says, or courter, perhaps. Lionel Tertis, a British violinist. Fred Hansen, U.S. Olympic gold medal winning pole vaulter. We also have Ray Nitschke, a football middle linebacker of the Green Bay Packers and a Hall of Famer. Kathy Schmidt, U.S. track and field Olympic bronze medalist. He Zhen Liang, a president of the Athletic Association of the People's Republic of China. We also have Vivenka Lind Fors, Swedish-American film actress. Dr. Sam Shepard, accused of murdering his wife and served 12 years before being exonerated and became a pro wrestler. There's an interesting story, it sounds like. And a false accusation thing that they drilled down on. And then we finish off with Charles Guerin, a French poet of the ash sower. Or sour, perhaps. S-O-W-E-R. So sower, I believe. That being said, I know it's a big order, tall ask, to take inspiration from other people's accomplishments. But like I said, maybe me just putting the bug in your ear about it can help you stir up the fires to figure out your own passion. And we had a pretty wide gamut of individuals and musicians, politicians, sports writers, Olympic medal winners. Just a whole gamut. So a lot of different things to take inspiration from. Like I said, maybe putting the bug in your ear about it, help you stir the fires. Because if there's anything I can wish for you on your birthday, it's that you're getting after your passions, putting in the time to figure those things out. Because you know what? It's so great to be going after something that I can't even talk about it, that you're getting fulfillment from. That's right. With that being said, that essentially rounds out your birthday reading. All right, except to say your season is winter. Your sign once again is Capricorn. If the Capricorn I period specifically, and your quality and elements is Cardinal Earth. And this has been December 29th, the day of Preeminence. Don't know that we necessarily made a connotation with the jaunty globes there, but like I said, not altogether all too important. This has been The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Eustace Elfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description. If you're interested in picking up a copy, save you the hassle of typing it in a browser there. This makes an excellent coffee table book, and you can see why. If you have company over, you get the party started by reading people's birthdays there. Maybe get the conversation started for better or for worse, but it's going to get the ice broken. That's right. That being said, book having been related, not altogether all too important, but like I said at the top, what is important? Wishing you a happy birthday. So once again, happy birthday, all right? And for everybody else who joined us randomly to celebrate, or to celebrate rather, and just hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. Well, all right, folks, lest I forget before I take us out, your daily numbers. That's right, your 4 and your 4 for an 8. Get out there, let the universe show you it's with you on your path there. I don't know how it's going to be realized, and maybe you won't even see, taste, touch, feel, smell, hear, or intuit any of the magic. Maybe you're just going to get out there for your twice to thrice times a week vigorous exercise. But you know what? I'm hoping for you that you do get a little bit of that magic. Because if you do, you're going to see why I recommended it for you. Even if you're not meeting a drug dealer or whatever insane thing I came up with at the top, you'll never know how it might present. So that said, enjoy yourself if you do get out there. And most importantly, once again, happy birthday. All right. Take care of yourselves.